Hiwa, it's such a pleasure to be speaking to you today, and it's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. So, Ahmed, every transformation, there's leadership. And in our region, we always face economic and political challenges. It's a phenomenon that we face, we witness all the time.
Yeah.
So basically, what do you think is the right leadership mandate in order to ensure building the right digitalization?
Thank you for having me, first of all. Hello to the distinguished audience today. I believe the problem of, the main reason why some countries are digitally so advanced and some of them struggle with all starts with a support of the political leadership at the top. In our country, that would be His Excellency the Prime Minister. In some countries, it could be the ruler or emir of a country or the president. So the real change starts when there is a translation of a vision into a mandate. So when you start giving a mandate of digital transformation to a central entity, an owner, to coordinate, that's how it starts. Because digital transformation requires a lot of, first of all, a lot of commitment, a lot of coordination, a lot of push and pulls. For that to happen, there should be a rock-solid support from the top. It also requires commitment that goes beyond one government cabinet.
Commitment and trust. Trust is at the core of everything, and gaining trust is really difficult in all aspects.
Yeah.
So how are you working on gaining trust and ensuring that people's privacy is actually respected?
This is a very good question. I mean, trust and privacy, especially in the age of AI, is becoming increasingly of concern in the time when less and less people are in control, more and more systems are taking over. So there is no silver bullet for that. So it starts by, first of all, designing systems for privacy, mapping the data to privacy. What data, an application design, what data is being collected? For how long are we going to keep this data? Who has access to this data? Is the system GDPR compliant or not? And then you start by making sure that everything that you are collecting is things such as immutable audit logs. Who has access to a system? Opting for explicit consent by the citizens. And then on the infrastructure level, to make sure that you are abiding by the latest and greatest, all best practices, to make sure that you are safeguarding privacy and trust of the people. Trust is gained over time. Trust is when people, when services are simple, when services are fair, and when services are safe.
So inclusion and equity are two main challenges that any transformation actually faces. How are you making sure you are like all the marginalized, all the low literacy communities, the rural areas, how are you making sure they're being included in this digital transformation?
Absolutely. So for us, citizen centricity sits at the heart of our digital transformation. Can you repeat your last part of your question again? So
basically, how are you making sure all communities are being included in this transformation?
Because I usually get confused.
It's the sound also, yeah.
Yeah. I get confused now because there is a component of ICT in it.
Yeah.
So when you design your systems at heart, when we design for citizen centricity, it means that the systems should be adapted to the local culture in terms of the language. Systems that we build are by default automatically Kurdish, Arabic, and English. Then you have to make sure that you have the multiple channels of delivery. So you all, in addition to making something digitally advanced, you always have a physical touch points. for those who cannot interact with the systems digitally. You have to make sure that, and we have to make sure that people have access, especially if in the rural area, so that we invest in the last mile connectivity. But also we have to make sure that our systems adapt to connectivities that allows things such as offline applications and so on. So basically, at heart of our design, we always consider that we are including everyone, that people with low tech literacy can still access it. We still have other channels of service delivery, such as touch points and so on. We make sure that we develop our systems for low data rates or for applications that cannot be consumed by citizens with bad internet access.
Public-private partnerships. How are you also working, for example, with local startups in order to encourage innovation?
This is another excellent question. So I believe it is market that can build brains.
Correct.
Our emphasis has been, while we have been working with international, like big companies such as Google, Cisco, Microsoft, which are giants, but when it comes to the ecosystems in which we operate, we usually focus on SMEs who could turn, when it comes to like spending, we do not focus on paying companies by hours or paying companies but the amount of equipment they have delivered. We would like to pay them by the value they have created. And in this journey, the SMEs are best placed to turn capital into value added to citizens. And it's the citizens who actually tell you if we have been investing good in this matter.
Financing, which is the most important part. How is the government financing the digital transformation?
This is a tricky question, and it's a difficult one. In a region where we have been plagued by political turbulences.
All the time.
Yes, and it's not an understanding of the importance of digital. It is something that we have been building. It has not been easy to build something like DIT the way we have. So I have been campaigning for that for a couple of years. I had to convince His Excellency the Prime Minister, and then everything happened. So we have not had enough, I would say, compared to what we have been doing. We have not been sufficiently funded, but that goes back to the financial situation of the region as a whole. We have been extremely efficient ourselves in terms of what we develop, and that's why we have extremely high-performance team at DIT that develops systems, so we have been doing most of the work ourselves. We have also been heavily relying on SMEs to do the work for us, because it's the SMEs that can do a much better job at a way lower cost. Then again, when we have to outsource something, that basically translates into the little money that is at your disposal to be spent for outsourcing something. We have been making sure that, first of all, there are proper exit clauses in the contract, that we are not paying companies by hours, but by the outcomes. And then we have been measuring our success in spending by the value created for citizens. We have KPIs that we have defined. We look at that: time saved, costs lowered, and the value added to citizens. And basically, this, I would say, this creates, this would be our policy. This has been our policy for funding and spending. I think things are going to significantly change in this cabinet. We are increasingly being better supported by His Excellency Prime Minister and his office. And I see a very, very bright future for Kurdistan in the upcoming cabinet.
So this is internally. Externally, are you developing new partnerships with the region in order to attract more FDIs in the digital sector?
I personally believe that for FDI, if you want to attract it, you have to create the environment on the ground. You have also to create the ecosystem on the ground for them to work with you. So we have been treating data as a national asset. We have been making sure that the architectures of our system are developed in a such that supports an ecosystem so that external partners find it easy, first of all, to offer us solutions. And then we have been working on procurement laws and conditions on the ground so that we can create a win-win situations for them.
And tell us more, how do you assess the infrastructure? Do you think you are capable to compete on a regional level, on an international level in the digital sector?
First of all, we do not need to compete because we are not here competing for customers. Usually, like infrastructure translates mainly into, if you talk about physical infrastructure, we are talking about data centers and communication networks. For us to, I wish there were enough commercial providers who could provide us with a commercialized data center so that something similar like Azure or AWS or Google Cloud, where you could simply partner with and deploy. The main reason we had to build our data center is because there was no such possibility. So we had to build our data center and the disaster recoveries for that as part of our sovereign cloud initiative. And then we are looking forward to see regional partners, commercial data centers, if they are building, in order for to regionally scale. It's a regional hyperscale capability, and in order to be more resilient. But we have not been in competition with them. More so, we have been trying to fill a gap in the shortest time possible, and we have been extremely successful. So we have also we are partnering with private owners of the fiber optic lines in Kurdistan, such as Tarin, IQ Networks, and others, to make sure that we are creating a secure communication network that can work completely cut off internet, if necessary.
And speaking of governance, how do you think governance evolved over the past few years? And what do you think they should work on more?
Excuse me?
Governance.
Governance.
Yes.
I assume that translates into continuity. And that's an excellent question. So we have a lot of experts in the room. We know that good things cannot be built in 3 or 4 years. Good things cannot be built in the lifetime of a government cabinet. So what should happen is what we have been trying also to do, not so successful yet, I would say, is to make sure that that digitalization becomes actually a national agenda.
Yeah.
There should be a law in Parliament for that. There should be a single legal owner of that, something that transcends government cabinet, something that you can put in place, and you have external auditor who can audit your performance, who can report to the public what we have been doing and how the funds have been spent. But that should really outlast, I would say, political leaders. It should be something that you can plan. And that's why the funding for that should be something between 5 to 10 years, so that that entity can plan for things. It should be decoupled from like fashion trends or political election campaigns. It should have the interest, the ultimate interest of Kurdistan and Kurdistanis at heart when it comes to Kurdistan. If this recommendation is for other nations, they should take and put the interest of that nation at heart and plan for a long term. So the task of Parliament or any framework would be to protect this track from political upheavals and from difficulties with a long-term vision, and make sure that this vision is being implemented by making sure that KPIs and metrics are reported to public and it's become very transparent.
And how do you think transformation actually enforces an identity rather than fragmenting it?
when it comes to digital transformation, it's extremely important that we separate between the core systems and things that you can allow SMEs or partners to take care of. Because without establishing those core systems, it's impossible even for companies to help you. We have a lot of companies here in the room, and they would, I assume they would agree with me. We have friends and also experts from the telecom field, cybersecurity experts in front of me, and they would agree with me that if DIT, if our department didn't create the core for a digital identity, a core for a identity for company registrations and these public registries, without that, you cannot ask for help. You build the systems yourself. You take care of that. It could be built by the help of the private sector, by the way. I'm not excluding that. But you need to build this system because these are the stepping stone. And you make sure you have an open architecture for that. An open architecture in a way that there is data that should move, because data itself is a national asset. It enables private sector to work. So you should have also a fine line between what is safe to share and what should be a red line.
And what principles are you using to protect data?
As I mentioned earlier, so we are abiding by, first of all the, when it comes to protecting the data and privacy, there is no consensus in the world. I mean, if you search, you will find out that it's very fragmented. You have GDPR, you have a law in the US, you have law for the Pacific countries, but there is nothing like a gold standard. We adopted the GDPR, which is the best law for us. We make sure that whenever we design something, consent and audit are part of that. So for example, if you are using KRD Pass and you want to log into another system, or if someone else is trying to pull your information, you see prompted on your device that this system is trying to take these data points from your profile. Do you agree or not? So it's completely consent-based. And then we have the industry standards when it comes to, first of all, our audit logs are immutable. It means whoever accesses our population data or other systems data, there are log files that you cannot immute them. We know exactly who accessed it, for what purpose, at what time, for legal purposes. And we keep it for at least 10 years. That's the plan. And when it comes to keeping the data centers, everything is, of course, based on the industry standards, encryptions, making sure that you have a decentralization, making sure you are not creating a single point of failure, making sure that the data is so-called federated, and so on. And we have a complete team called Data and Artificial Intelligence team. They are drafting actually the data strategy for access and data actually even for artificial intelligence applications and training.
On an individual level, how are you reassuring people? So people worldwide are very scared from the development of AI, from digitalization.
Yeah.
How can you reassure them from your position?
Oh, this is building trust, and trust comes with time. I would say if you indicators such as, first of all, if people can see that the data is being taken from their account by consent, if they consent to it, if you allow people to download the data, if you allow people to correct the data, and if citizens see that the data has survived one or two government cabinets, when they see, basically you need to report to them what has been the benefit of the systems to them. For example, time saved, service fees lowered, processes simplified, system more effective, more efficient. And you need to make sure that you have a platform that you publish this data to them so that the public always sees
Transparency.
this. So the trust comes when people see that actually a system has survived one government cabinet. I can give you a good example on that.
Please.
We started registering people using biometric technology. And biometric project, I think, is one of the most famous projects that we know in Kurdistan. We started registering people using biometric technologies in 2016. But we had to make sure that it survives the 8th cabinet, that it survives the 9th cabinet, and the value is being given to people in the 10th cabinet with KRD Pass, for example. This builds trust. If people see that you have been capable of keeping the data safe, of utilizing data for their own benefit for more than 10 to 15 years, that builds trust. Trust is hard-earned. Trust requires time. And there is no silver bullet for that. You have to report your progress. You have to tell them how you are using the data. You have to tell people how the data is being, the data requires ownership, it requires stewardship, and it requires also the custodian. DIT so far has been the custodian of the data. We are hosting the data, various ministries of the owners. But so far, I think we have been quite okay in showing our citizens that they are in good hands. Systems that we have developed, for example, for our citizens, we never asked, like I would say 90% of them, we don't even require a fee. We turn the data into value to them and we show them how we have used it. And how much people will trust us is something that will be told in a couple of years.
Can you give us examples of innovative startups that actually caught your attention over the past few years?
We have a lot of innovations that have caught our intentions. In our interview yesterday, I tried to avoid that, and I think it's not fair to mention them, but I can mention some of them. We have here NAS Wallet, for example. They have, it's one of the most innovative fintech companies here. We had companies who are working on artificial intelligence. We have companies who have been working on for example, harnessing blockchain. But there are quite a lot of them that I avoid to mention them because there are so many of them, it's going to haunt me back.
Challenges. How can people face them on an individual level? What advice do you give people to overcome the challenge of transformation?
Is this for citizens or is this for professionals of the field?
One for citizen and another one for the professionals.
Citizens are, the digital literate citizen especially, I think they should continue be updated. They should educate themselves to be able to interact with the systems in a safe and secure manner. They should have a baseline of digital literacy in order to utilize technologies in their benefit. Citizens of Kurdistan needs also to be patient. We're going through a very difficult time. I would say not only Iraq, not only Kurdistan, Iraq as a whole. So people of Iraq are going through difficult times. So we have to be patient and we have to trust our government institutes that they are doing a good job trying to change things because there is no substitute to trying and to attempt to solve problems. For the professionals of my field, I would say they should stay educated. They should not only look into what a university curriculum tells them. They should educate themselves. They should detect trends, and they should prepare for trends beforehand. If they see that artificial intelligence is becoming a thing, they have to make sure they are not waiting for a university professor to tell them, because that professor probably doesn't know more than he does. It happened to me when I was a student in Germany, and professor was very clear about that. The professor told all of us, he said, guys, we are not here to teach you. We are here to show you the way so that and teach you how to get the information that you need, how to open the way for yourselves. And that couldn't be more true. And the same advice goes to our young population. They should be extremely informed. They should try to detect the so-called shark fin of change before the shark emerges. Detect the shark fin and prepare for that, mobilize for that, and they should have a very good future. And the good thing for them is that the future of Kurdistan and future of Iraq is in the hands of tech entrepreneurs, and tech-savvy young population.
Before we end this conversation, and speaking of education, to speak more about the future generations, do you think the curriculums are up to the standard in order to make all the students ready for the future world, in your opinion?
I personally believe universities, especially in digital field, universities have never been ready for students. And I told you something from my background from, it was 98, for example. It was the case, and it is still true today. What I have seen recently happening in Kurdistan is that our universities have become so good that first of all, our best people, DIT has close to 100 extremely skilled young professionals. And they are so good that I always tell them I'm so proud of them and the universities who have guided them. But universities recently have become even better. What they do, they send their best students for trainings to us, for internships to us. So what happens to these students is they see how technology is actually applied to real problems in real life. They know the life cycle of a software, starting with a business intelligence and requirement gathering, which creates a business requirement document for the digital development team, and how the digital development team in iteration creates the software, how it is handed to the DevOps team and security teams to make sure that it is running on different environments. You have an environment for development, you have an environment for testing, and you have an environment that goes live. And then how the quality assurance team is testing this software to be released, and at the end, how the entire thing is going to the data center, and the data center professionals are making sure they are provisioning resources, provisioning computing, storage resources, and make sure that the network is secure enough that the cybersecurity measures are applied, and from an idea, it becomes a public good.
Wishing you all the best, Hiwa, and wishing the best for Kurdistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.